So magandang araw sa ating lahat. Again, this is Engineer Jom Digia and welcome back to my channel. So sa video na to, tayo ay mag-Looksfam ng mga elements under ng subject na Power Industrial Plant Engineering, which is under ng course na Mechanical Engineering. So malaking tulong po ito para sa mga gaya nyong nagre-review at nagpe-prepare para sa nalalapit nyong board examination, either this February or sa August. Okay, so let's start. Ito ay mga tanong na galing sa mga different past board exam ng mechanical engineering. So, number 1, the refrigerant used in steam jet cooling is blank. Sagot dyan ay water, letter D. Next, the total heat of the air is a function of, sagot dyan ay wet bulb temperature. Next, the boiling point of Freon 12 at atmospheric pressure. Sagot yan ay letter A, 21 degree Fahrenheit. Next, component of absorption refrigeration system in which the solution is cooled by cooling water. Ang sagot natin dyan ay absorber, letter D. Next, the hands feel painfully cold when the skin temperature reaches 10 degrees Celsius, letter B. Next, which of the following is not a type of water-cooled condenser in refrigeration? Sagot natin dyan ay double shell. Not a type of water-cooled condenser. Okay, mali ito sa tanong. Next, Cascade Refrigeration Cycle is often used in industrial process where objects must be cooled to temperature below negative 46 degrees Celsius, letter A. Next, type of refrigerant control designed to maintain a pressure difference while the compressor is operating. Sagot natin dyan ay capillary tube. Next, as a rule of thumb, for a specified amount of compressed air, the power consumption of the compressor decreases by blank for each 3 degrees Celsius drop in the temperature inlet air to the compressor. Sagot yan ay 1%, letter A. Next is the common dryer used, which consists of rotating cylinder inside which the materials flow while getting in contact with the hot gas. Sagot natin dyan ay rotary dryer, letter D. Next, modern way of detecting air compressor leak is by using, keyword is modern way, modern way. Sagot dyan ay letter C, acoustic leak detector. So, pwede nyo kasing isagot dyan is soap and water. Guys, soap and water yan, hindi soup. Soap and water. Pero lumang style na yon. Modern way mo dyan is acoustic leak detector, letter C. Next, for foundation of stocks, the maximum pressure on the soil is equal to the pressure due to the weight and the blank. Sagot dyan ay letter B, wind movement. Next, for multi-stage compression of an ideal Brighton cycle, the back ratio or back work ratio will blank, letter B, decrease. Type of turbine that has specific speed below 5. Sagot natin dyan ay impulse turbine, letter A. Tandaan na, specific speed below 5, impulse turbine, letter A. Next, a high discharge type of turbine. Okay, high discharge type of turbine. Sagot natin dyan ay propeller type turbine or propeller turbine, letter B. Next, used to minimize the speed rise due to a sudden load rejection. Sagot natin dyan ay jet deflector, letter D. Next, it is the ratio of the mass of water vapor and in the air and the mass of air. If it is saturated, it is called relative humidity. Baka kasi isagot yun dyan, humidity ratio, mali po yun. Sagot dyan ay relative humidity. Under ito ng subject na HVAC. Next, letter D yan It is the speed of a turbine when the head on the turbine is 1 meter. Again, it's the speed of the turbine when the head on the turbine is 1 meter. Sagot natin dyan ay unit speed, letter D. Next, it is a fluid property which refers to the intermolecular attraction by which the separate particles of the fluid are held together. Sagot natin dyan ay cohesion, letter A. Which of the following is not the cause of black smoke in diesel engine? Not the cause of black smoke. Letter B, high compression pressure. Which of the following is not a method of starting a diesel engine? Again, not a method of starting a diesel engine. Letter D, using another generator. Next, two-stroke engine performs blank to complete one cycle. Again, two-stroke engine performs blank to complete one cycle. Sagot ay compression and power stroke. Letter B. Next, a type of geothermal plant used when there is a presence of brine extracted from underground. Sagot natin dyan ay binary geothermal plant. Letter D. Next, it is the most important safety device on the power boiler. Again, important safety device on a power boiler. Tawag dyan natin ay safety valve. Letter C. Next, during hydrostatic test, the safety valves should be removed. Okay? Letter A. Where deaerating heaters are not employed, it is recommended that the temperature of the feed water be not less than blank. Letter A, 197 degrees Celsius. Next is a reaction during which chemical energy is released in the form of heat. Sagot natin dyan ay exothermic reaction. Letter D. By reheating the steam in an ideal Rankine cycle, the heat rejected will increase. Letter A. By increasing the boiler pressure in Rankine cycle, the moisture content at the boiler exit will increase. Tandaan natin tong mga tanong na to. Madalas tinatanong yan sa subject ng pipe. Next, presently, the highest steam temperature allowed at the turbine inlet is about blank. Sagot natin dyan ay C, 620 degrees Celsius. Next, two most common gases employed in Stirling and Ericsson cycles are letter C, hydrogen and helium. Next, in most common design of gas turbine, the pressure ratio ranges from 11 to 16. Letter B. Next, in Brayton cycle, the heat is transformed during what process? Again, the heat is transformed during what process? Sagot dyan ay letter C, isobaric process. So, isobaric, constant pressure. Next, the fuel injection process in diesel engine starts when the piston blank approaches TDC or top dead center. Letter C. Next, if the cut-off ratio of diesel cycle increases, the cycle efficiency will blank. Letter A, decrease. The fuel used in a power plant that is used during peak periods, okay, is letter C, liquid. Typical compression ratio of Otto cycle, okay? Typical compression ratio daw ng Otto cycle ay letter B, 8. If Joule-Thomson coefficient is equal to 0, then the process will become isothermal or constant temperature, letter D. If the fluid passed through a nozzle, its entropy will blank remains the same, letter C. Next, refrigerant consisting of mixtures of two or more different chemical compounds, often used individuals as refrigerant for other applications. Sagot dyan ay blends, letter C. Pairs of mating stop valves that allow sections of a system to be joined before opening these valves or separated after closing them. Sagot dyan ay companion valve, letter D. Next, an enclosed passageway that limits travel to a single path. Okay, sagot yan ay corridor. For immediate dangerous to life or health IDHL, the maximum concentration from which unprotected persons are able to escape within blank without escape impairing symptoms or irreversible health. Bihira lumabas naman sa board exam yan, pero ang sagot yan ay 30 minutes, letter D. Next, the volume as determined from internal dimensions of the container with no allowance for the volume of internal parts is internal gross volume, letter B. Next, a waiting room or large hallway serving as a waiting room. Sagot yan ay lobby. A continuous and unobstructed path of travel from any point in a building or structure to a public way. Mean of egress, letter B. Any device or portion of the equipment used to increase refrigerant pressure. Sagot yan ay pressure imposing element, letter B. Next, the quantity of refrigerant stored at some point is the refrigeration system for operational service or standby purposes. Sagot yan ay letter B, pump down charge. Secondary refrigerant is a liquid used for transmission of heat without the change of state and having no flash point or a flash point above blank as determined from ASTM. Sagot yan ay letter A, 150 degree Fahrenheit. A service valve for dual pressure relief devices that allows during one device while isolating the other from the system, maintaining one valve in operation at all times. Sagot yan ay letter A, three-way valve. Next, tubing that is enclosed and therefore exposed to crushing, abrasion, puncture, or similar damage after installation. Sagot yan ay unprotected tubing, letter D. Refers to blends comprising multiple components of different volatile that when used in refrigeration cycles change volumetric composition and saturation temperature as they evaporate or boil or condense at constant pressure. Sagot yan ay zootropic, letter D. Is a premises or that of a premise from which because they are disabled, debilitated, or confined occupants cannot readily live without the assistance of others. Sagot yan ay institutional occupancy. Is one in which a secondary coolant is in direct contact with the air or other substance to be cooled or heated. Sagot natin dyan ay indirect open spray system, letter B. Next, refrigerant number R744 is blank. Sagot natin dyan ay carbon dioxide, letter D. Refrigerant number R1150 is blank. Sagot natin dyan ay ethene, letter B. Next, refrigerant R40 is blank. Sagot natin dyan ay chloromethane, letter D. When the air duct system serves several enclosed spaces, the permissible quantity of refrigerant in the system shall not exceed the amount determined by using the total volume of those spaces in which the airflow cannot be reduced to less than blank of its maximum when the fan is operating. Sagot natin dyan ay 1/4, letter A. Next, the space above a suspended ceiling shall not be included in calculating the permissible quantity of refrigerant in the system unless such space is continuous and is part of the air return system. Sagot natin dyan ay plenums. Which of the following is not a possible location of a service valve? Okay? Sagot natin dyan ay outlet of condenser, letter D. A coil in series with evaporator that is used to prevent the liquid refrigerant entering the compressor. Sagot natin dyan ay dryer loop, letter C. Next, a type of valve connected to from discharge of compressor directly to suction that is normally closed and will open automatically only if there is high discharge pressure. Sagot natin dyan ay letter B, solenoid valve. Next, used to increase the capacity of the condenser. Okay, sagot natin dyan ay the superheating coils, letter B. Next, is used to subcool the refrigerant from the condenser. Okay, sagot natin dyan ay liquid subcooler, letter A. Next, which of the following is not a part of low pressure side in refrigeration system? Keyword not a part, not a part of low pressure side sa refrigeration system. Sagot natin dyan ay suction line, letter D. Next, which of the following is not a part of condensing unit? Okay, which of the following is not a part of condensing unit? Sagot natin dyan ay liquid line, letter D. Next, by subcooling the refrigerant in refrigeration system, the compressor power per unit mass will blank remains the same, letter C. Superheating the refrigerant in refrigeration system, the specific volume at compressor suction will blank remains the same, letter C. By subcooling the refrigerant in refrigeration system, the specific volume at compressor suction will blank, letter C remains the same. Next, pressure loss due to friction at the condenser, the compressor power per unit mass will blank. Again, letter C remains the same. Which of the following is not a type of air-cooled condenser? Okay, sagot natin dyan ay shell and tube. Next, a type of refrigerant control typically used in household refrigeration. Sagot natin dyan ay letter C, capillary tube. Next, type of condenser that operates like a cooling water. Sagot natin dyan na evaporative condenser, letter B. The major problem of heat pump is blank. Sagot natin dyan ay frosting, letter D. Dominant refrigerant used in commercial refrigeration system. Again, dominant na ginagamit sa commercial refrigeration system. Sagot natin yan ay R502, letter D. Next, Cascade refrigerant system are connected in blank. Sagot natin yan ay series, letter A. Next, is used to heat up the solution partially before entering the generator in absorption refrigeration system. Sagot natin dyan ay regenerator, letter C. Next, the COP of actual absorption refrigeration system is usually Sagot dyan ay less than 1. Letter A. Next, sight glass is often located at liquid line. Letter B. Next, used to detect a vibration in current caused by the ionization of the composed refrigerant between two opposite charged platinum electrodes. Sagot natin dyan ay electronic detector. Letter A. Next, the ability of oil to mix with refrigerants. Sagot natin dyan ay miscibility. Letter D. Joints and all refrigerants containing parts of a refrigerating system located in an air duct carrying conditioned air to and from an occupied space shall be constructed to withstand a temperature of blank without leakage into the air stream. Sagot natin dyan ay 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, refrigerant piping crossing an open space that affords passageway in any building shall be not less than blank above the floor unless the piping is located against the ceiling of such space and is permitted by the authority having jurisdiction. Letter A, yung sagot dyan, 2.2 meters. Next, methyl chloride shall not be in contact with blank. Sagot dyan ay all of this, yung aluminum, zinc, and magnesium. Pag nandyan yan lahat, tapos sinabi all of this, sagot doon ay letter D. Shall not be in contact with any halogenated refrigerants. Sagot natin dyan ay manganese. Letter C. Are suitable for use in ammonia system. Okay, sagot natin dyan ay aluminum and its alloy. Letter B. In a pressure relief device is used to protect a pressure vessel having an inside dimension of 6 inches or less. The ultimate strength of the pressure vessel so protected shall be sufficient to withstand a pressure at least blank the design pressure. Sagot natin dyan ay letter B, 3 times. Next, seats and discs shall be limited in distortion by pressure or other cause to set pressure change of not more than blank in a span of 5 years. Sagot natin dyan ay letter B, 5%. Next, liquid receivers, if used or parts of system designed to receive the refrigerant change during pump down charge. The liquid shall not occupy more than blank of the volume when the temperature of the refrigerant is 90 degree Fahrenheit. Sagot natin dyan ay 90%. Letter C. Next, the discharge line or B4 shall be vented to the atmosphere through a blank fitted to its upper extremity. Sagot natin dyan ay diffuser. Letter D. Convert fossil fuels into the shaft work. Okay, convert fossil fuels into the shaft work. Sagot natin dyan ay thermal power plant. Ultimate strength drops by 30% as steam temperature rises from blank for an alloyed steel. Sagot natin dyan ay 400 to 500 degrees Celsius. Letter B. Next, recent practice limits steam temperature to blank. Sagot natin dyan ay 438 degrees Celsius. Letter A. Next, in a closed feed water heater, the feed water passes through blank. Sagot natin dyan ay letter A, inside the tube. Next, is used if extracted steam upon condensation gets subcooled. Sagot natin dyan ay drain cooler. Letter D. Next, needs only single pump regardless of number of heaters. Sagot natin dyan ay letter B, closed heater. Next is also known as deaerator. Sagot natin dyan ay letter A, open heater. Next, dissolved gases like blank makes water corrosive, reacts with metal to form iron oxide. Sagot natin dyan ay O2 and CO2 or oxygen and carbon dioxide. Letter C. Next, a cycle typically used in paper mills, textile mills, chemical factories, sugar factories, and rice mills. Sagot natin dyan ay letter A, Cogeneration Cycle. When processed, steam is basic need and power is byproduct. This cycle is known as blank. Letter C, byproduct cycle. A type of turbine employed where steam continuously extracted for process heating. Sagot natin dyan ay pass-out turbine. Letter D. Which of the following is used for binary cycle power generation for high temperature application? Sagot natin dyan ay letter D, all of this. Yung mercury, sodium, and potassium. Next, critical temperature of mercury is blank. Sagot natin dyan ay 1460 degrees Celsius. Critical pressure of mercury is blank. Sagot natin dyan ay letter B, 108 megapascal. Next, method used in converting heat directly to electricity by magnetism. Sagot natin dyan ay magnetohydrodynamic. Letter C. And lastly, durugtungan na lang natin itong video na to. Sa next video na aking i-upload ay yung part 2 nitong pagre-recall natin ng mga elements under power and industrial plant engineering. So, sa next video na yung part 2 ha. Ito muna yung part 1. Ito muna yung last na tanong. Which of the following is not a material used for thermoelectric elements? Sagot natin dyan ay letter C, zinc telluride. Okay, so hanggang dito na lang muna itong pagre-recall natin o pag-Looksfam natin ng mga elements ng Power Industrial Plant Engineering. So antabayanan nyo po ang second part ng video na to. So nawa makatulong itong pagre-recall natin ng mga elements ng pipe. Again, this is Engineer Jom Degia. Maraming salamat sa panonood and God bless us all.